Re- Maybe I should not stream.
Describes the experience of being in the situation and feeling the anxiety of possible.
What you're looking for is embossed.
Party animal.
If you are interested in SCP Secret Lab but haven't even run it yet, you should install it and make sure you even can. The game is free but Windows exclusive, needs a good computer to run, and may not be compatible with all hardware. Most of this video was made between December and March and was postponed to make revisions for the new 9.6, so the majority of the footage used in this video was taken prior to the Scopophobia update. There is even some pre-Megapatch 2 footage here. On screen should be everything that differentiates the footage. The most major thing you need to know while watching this video is that 9.6 used to look like this, and in the current version of the game, they look like this. Both are present in the video. To those who haven't played and don't know much about Secret Lab, this game is a very social game, and I would highly suggest you have a the general experience you will have in this game is typically determined by the people you play with. Most servers are community hosted, some with gameplay variations and different levels of motivation. Learn about what is your server by checking the info on the right side of the menu. The premise of the game is that the SCP Foundation their facilities. The Foundation sends in the MTF to recover their important personnel and eliminate teams in 4 locations. The teams are Class D, Mobile Task Force, and the SCPs. The zones are Surface, Entrance, Heavy Containment, and Light Containment. A match starts with Class D and Scientists in Light Containment, Facility Guards in Entrance, and SCPs in Heavy Containment, except for 173. When D-Class escapes, they join the Chaos, and Scientists join the MTF. Waves of MTF or Chaos Insurgents will spawn every few minutes on the surface. These waves consist of about a dozen spectators choosing from those who have been dead the longest. Now, what is each team supposed to do? The MTF, of course, want to re-secure the facility. They must rescue Scientist personnel and eliminate any threats to the safety and secrecy of the Foundation. So, the SCPs, D-Class, and Chaos. The primary objective of the D-Class is to do whatever they can to get out.
Okay, we're good. Let's go.
The Chaos Insurgency, being an anti-SCP Foundation group, wants to help liberate them and wipe out the MTF team. They only need to concern themselves with fighting SCPs to the extent that it helps them save the D-Class. SCPs must simply kill everyone involved in the Foundation. This means the MTF team and D-Class. Let no one escape and prevent MTF from retaking the facility. A match is over when the MTF have retaken the facility, and at least one scientist got out. If they aren't able to rescue a scientist, but they achieve everything else, the match ends in a stalemate. Alternatively, when the MTF are defeated, it's an SCP win, unless the D-Class escaped, in which case the D-Class win. Of course, the D-Class team can also win when they and the Chaos are the last one standing, and the MTF don't. There is a heavy incentive for both MTF and SCPs to make a priority out of preventing D-Class escapes, because when they do, the only way the D-Class can lose is if the MTF take the facility, which causes a stalemate. So for SCPs, if they have to make a choice between killing a Scientist and D-Class, they should kill D-Class. This doesn't mean they should ignore Scientists. They are still a required part of the MTF's win condition. If you're not sure of what to do, the screen will tell you what your objectives are. And it will display a short overview of your role. Before I cover the SCPs themselves. Understanding everything else about the game first will help provide context to the PvP. Of course, the SCPs are the stars of the game, and all the information in this guide will only be so useful if you don't know about them and their general gimmicks. So to go over them briefly, SCP-173 is the statue. Some people call it the peanut. They cannot move when they're in a cold state. The server blinks simultaneously every 3 seconds, so they will jump a certain distance when you do so. If they reach you, they will snap your neck and you will die. They spawn locked in a room up a spiral staircase in light containment. 173 will be unable to leave for 25 seconds. SCP-096 is the Shy Guy. They function opposite of 173 and they easily want to look at them. When 096 is seen or shot, they will become enraged, being able to trace any targets who have triggered them through walls, and there won't be many ways to escape them. If you hear an enraged 96 nearby and haven't seen them, stay out of the way. Anyone who hasn't spotted or shot them won't be visible during their rage, and every additional person who does will temporarily make 096 stronger. 96 spawns outside the door to their containment in heavy. They will be immediately free to roam around. SCP-939 refers to these things. We usually call them dogs. Up to 2 can spawn and they can move at roughly the same speed you do. They are the only SCP that can sprint like humans. Their attack deals 65 damage and inflicts amnesia, which prevents you from reloading and using your inventory. They can sneak around without making a sound or speak to try and convince you that they aren't what they are. Your only advantage against them is that they are blind and can't see you until they have caught you moving nearby in what would be their line of sight, or you're just making enough noise. You can also be caught if they collide with you. 939 spawns at the bottom of a pit and heavy. To get out, they need to travel up this spiraling ramp. SCP-106 is the Old Man, some call him Larry. They can walk through doors and set a teleport location on the ground anywhere they choose. If they hit you, you'll be sent to the pocket dimension where your health slowly drains. The longer you stay, the faster it will drop, so you'll want to pick one of the 8 halls and walk through them. The odds are slim, but you are able to escape if by chance you choose the right one. When you do, it will drop you outside of 106's room. When you don't, you just die. Their attack has a cooldown on successful hits, so if a human has just been grabbed, it will take you 3 seconds before you can attack again. Another thing to keep in mind is that when 106 sends you to the pocket dimension, they will also deal 40 damage, so if you have less HP than 40, you will die on the spot instead. 106 spawns in heavy at the bottom of their containment chamber. They will need to travel up a set of stairs to get out. SCP-049 is the Plague Doctor. They are an SCP that kills on contact, but like 106, they also have an attack cooldown. After someone dies, regardless of how it happened, there is a 10-second period in which 49 can revive them, turning the player into a zombie. It takes them 7 seconds to revive, so they won't be able to bring back multiple people who have died at the same time. Zombies have a bit more health than human players, but are still prone to headshot damage, and can be killed quickly so long as you are armed. Otherwise, they can be trouble. 49 spawns on their own floor, needing to walk down a short hall. SCP-079 is the computer. They have access to all the facilities, cameras, doors, and Tesla gates. While their means of killing you themselves are limited, one locked door can mean your doom. There are very few methods of countering an experienced 7-9 player. 7-9 can also talk to humans using speakers placed in specific rooms. A coordinated SCP team can easily control the match and wipe everyone out. As powerful as they may seem, however, they are with the right know-how, they have a few ways of being dealt with. I'll be getting more into them closer to the end of the video. If you want to get a feel for the game and explore the facility without any major threats or time constraints, depending on whether or not your setup lets you, you can create your own private match where you're free to run around by clicking play and create game. I'll be using this to showcase a couple things. I'm sure if you've ever played a computer shooter before, then you'll probably know the basic movement controls. They can all be customized, but by default, E is to interact, such as for opening doors or picking up items. Shift is to run, C is to walk, Q is for proximity chat, and V for radio chat. Tab is for inventory, left click equips and right click drops, N is where you can mute, view Steam profiles and report hackers, not rule breakers, P toggles the UI, and Control N opens the radar. Actually, that last one isn't real. Control N crashes the game or something and there is no map. Not to say that there aren't layouts, however, there are 5 for each zone. The only thing about them that gets randomized is what is on each end. The hallways have variants as well. Layouts, however, the Class D cells are always in the same spot, and because the following room for each one is different, D-Class can immediately know the layout within the first few seconds of the match. Coming out of Class D spawn, if the first room is a left turn, you are in the hub layout. There is also 2 straight halls halls afterwards, so it's easy to remember. If the first room is a right turn, the layout is L. This layout normally has no default straight halls. It's easily the smallest layout, and you don't want to spend a lot of time here. If the first room is a straight hall, the layout is PSI. If the first room is a T intersection with hallways on both sides, the layout is light. However, if the right leads to an end, then the layout is mess. This is light containment's largest layout. Most of the ends are spaced out from each other, so you'll want to follow this route on screen for the highest chance of finding loot. Scientists will spawn at specific ends and the washrooms hall. With 8 ends each layout and 25 straight hallways total, they have too many starting locations to memorize the layout from the first room. However, layouts typically have some distinct room combinations from each other and eventually start to get familiar. The longer you play, the less aimless wandering you'll be doing. Getting around light containment isn't all too difficult. You'll be able to tell what's behind a door before you open it because each of them are conveniently labeled. HS and HC refer to basic straight and curved hallways. IT and IX refer to intersections. AL refers to an airlock. This is a hall variant with a section of doors where when one opens, the other one closes. There is also a small space in these rooms for hiding. Other hall variants include WC, the washrooms, and VT, the green room. I'll be talking more about the ends later, but the 8 of them are identified as 914, which is the upgrade room, 012, PC15, GR18, and PT, which are loot rooms, GR18 being a scientist spawn location and PT being 173's room. 00 is the light armory, outside of which is another scientist spawn location, and then there are 2 exits, labeled EXA and B. These are also scientist spawns. After passing through a checkpoint, there is a set of elevators that will take you to an end in heavy containment. Light will only be accessible for 15 minutes. Afterwards, all the doors and elevators lock shut, and anything remaining inside will die to gas. This is referred to as decontamination. This process is done to prevent people from hiding in light and prolonging the match. You'll be safe so long as you can reach an open elevator and send it to heavy before the last second of the countdown finishes. The doors will open after the elevator stops, but only for a moment. To continue on the subject of navigation, I want to skip over to Entrance Zone, which is probably the easiest to get around no matter what role you have. Like Class D spawn in Light, there is a singular checkpoint between Entrance and Heavy that is always on the same end of the entrance layout. It's always